is the next step.
Yeah.
And look, I'm going to fucking debunk the whole fitness industry fucking training programs right now.
They're all on steroids.
Yeah, they are. They are.
So, JT.
Ooh, Mr. Jones.
You're down in Adelaide.
I am.
I thought we'd film it in a Holden Commodore because Adelaide was the home of Holden Commodores. You're sitting in the car with a born-again bogan.
Mate, I'm with that. I drive a Holden Commodore and I live in the western Sydney suburbs.
Bro, you're in the motherland of the Commodore.
I feel honoured.
Mate, you sponsored our latest show with Bulletproof for BJJ.
Yes, sir. Yes,
now,
indeed.
Anybody in Jiu-Jitsu knows that name. How did Bulletproof get started, and what was the reason you went down this road?
Oh, mate, look, to be honest, what I noticed starting Jiu-Jitsu, a lot of folks were just like going real hard on Jiu-Jitsu and then just straight to the beers after training. And I was like, nah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if that's the way. And when I was like doing stretches, people were like, what's wrong with you? Are you gay? Like, this isn't yoga.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, like flexibility, it's a thing. And so a lot of people would like kind of write me off when I first started jiu-jitsu because I was like lifting weights and doing shit. And I thought it needs to be something else going on with this. And so I also as a like white belt, blue belt, I was going really hard, and you know, I was lifting weights and doing stuff, but I was getting injured as well. And it was trying to find like, what's the balance? How do you like do jiu-jitsu, but then also stay kind of healthy? Like, is there a balance? But also at this time, as I was like just gradually trying to come up with a system or an approach to help people, my business partner, Joe Worthington, he's probably on a similar thing because we were like similar belts coming up. And even though we're at like Pan Packs and, you know, nationals and whatever, we never actually fought each other. Which is maybe fortunate.
Yeah.
Because maybe it would have like broken the friendship.
Well, as a business partner, maybe sometimes you feel like fighting him now.
Yeah, well, no, every day. No, we know how to keep it civil, but occasionally we do. Occasionally it's be like, we should train, bro. All right, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
But no, like it's one of those things that we you know, we've trained a bit together, and it does get pretty. It's like brothers, right? Yeah. Sometimes punches will be thrown.
Well,
you know?
For the first 18 years was good. I was pretty much undefeated, and then Craig got good at jiu-jitsu, and that all fucking changed. Yeah.
But mate, it's one of those things that we knew each other for like whatever, probably 7 or 8 years before we kind of got into business together, and I knew people would come up to me and go, "Have you seen this guy from Sydney? His name's Joe Worthington. Like, he does kettlebells and he's a personal trainer." And I was like, "No, who's this fucking cunt?" They're like, "You look a lot like him." And then he had friends of his go, "You used to know this guy JT from Melbourne?"
Yeah.
What? And then one time, actually, I think it could have been Eric Mastro from Garage Jiu-Jitsu, who's like a mutual friend of ours. It was at like, I don't know, like some jiu-jitsu tournament in Sydney. And Eric came up to me, he goes, "Stay here, I've got Joe. You're in the same building at the same time. You must meet." So then it was funny because, like, you know those nature documentaries where they like put a mirror in the wild and the animals are like, and like the gorilla's like, just fucking trying to fight the mirror and shit. It was kind of like a bit of a moment where he's walking over, he's looking at me, I'm looking at him, we're like, maybe we do look a bit the same. We're like, "Oh, what's up, bro? Oh, yeah, all right, yeah." And then from that moment, we kind of become mates, and, you know, he's working on his gym thing, and, you know, I was in Melbourne training, and actually what I realised, me personally, was we were doing the same shit, but in different parts of the world. And that if we kept going the way we're going, we would probably end up competing in a way, because we're doing, like, pretty much the same business. And I just was like, maybe we could just work together, because we were mates, and I was like, we're doing similar shit, our powers combined, fucking, we could do something awesome. So I just said to him, mate, why don't we just try and work out what this looks like? And he's like, yeah, next time you're in Sydney, let's get together and we'll jam out what this looks like and we'll put it together. And that was like 2018.
Yeah.
By the end of 2018, we got together and filmed a bunch of content. We got a friend of ours to make a janky-ass website.
Yeah.
But it still cost us money. But then chucked the videos on there and then just started from, start of 2019, started to try and build something. The website didn't publish till later in the year. But also I had an opportunity because I knew Bernardo Faria to, say, do a product for fanatics.
Yeah.
And we were going over for 2019 ADCC. I was going there as support team for Ben Hodge and Lockie and everybody.
Yeah.
And so I got to go to Boston, link up with Bernardo, and we got Bulletproof BJJ on Fanatics.
Oh, true.
And that really helped, people find out about us.
The Brazilian guy that sounds like GSP or Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog,
yeah.
But he's such a lovely guy, I met Bernardo back in like 2011 when he was living in Brazil, and he had a few injuries and I helped him with that. So we had like a good rapport. Plus he also beat the fuck out of me.
Yeah. I've heard amazing things about his jiu-jitsu.
Bro, he is the toughest cunt.
Yeah.
But he's so nice, but he just bashes you.
Yeah.
So So that's kind of how it got started. And then at a critical point, I said, this is probably fuck Melbourne. COVID fucked Melbourne. Pretty hard. No jiu-jitsu, no personal training, no fucking anything. And at the end of 2020, I said to my wife, let's move to Sydney because Melbourne is not being a good time. And she said, okay. And I said to Joey, bro, we should do a podcast. And he was like, I already got a fucking podcast. I want to do another podcast. And I was like, nah, bro, trust. Like, I'm saying, let's do it because I think it'll be good. And so then it was probably, it was like March of that year, 2021, that we started to record and make a podcast. And then just very flukily, I think people were just like, oh yeah, fuck with this. And then right now, more people probably know us from the podcast than from the exercise stuff. And it's that's kind of how it evolved over time. And we haven't killed each other yet, and so happy days. But yeah, man, it's just, I think the hardest thing about jiu-jitsu, you would know yourself, like when you get into it and you're frothing out, you're like, fuck, this is awesome. You bring it all the energy and enthusiasm, but if you cop like a fucking injury, which means you can't work, like your fucking ankle, injury of the fucking year, Jesus, it's super confronting because you're like, I just came here to have fun and do my thing, and now I can't even walk, or I have to have surgery. I can't fucking make money. Like, what can I do, right? As much as jiu-jitsu can make your life awesome, it can also fucking derail it. And so much of what we do is actually not even just, as much as help folks get strong, flexible, blah, blah, help them come back from injury and try and stay the path, because we know a lot of people, they never make it to black belt because they just get fucking medically retired.
And there's a lot of smart people in jiu-jitsu that and obviously a lot of dumb cunts, but even some of the even some of the smartest people I've met through jiu-jitsu are dumb as fuck when it comes to injuries. Like, I remember there was a time where, this is before Craig and Lachlan Warren and little Tommy the Tits Everett moved to Melbourne, that they would just eat footlocks. They would never tap to a footlock, which is kind of funny now that we got like the Wodge locks and that, what's that Polish guy, Szynski?
Szynski,
who are literally breaking fucking legs.
Shit.
But, people would just eat footlocks and would just keep training. And for a bunch of smart dudes, and like, you see the memes now where it's like the doctor says you got to have 6 weeks off training, and then they're like, I'm in the gym the next day training. People don't take it seriously when it comes to rehab. And I mean, I don't even fucking stretch. I'll do a little fucking back stretch on the mats, and then I wonder why I can't walk properly for the next fucking 3 days because my back or neck is fucked.
But
there isn't for as many smart people, there isn't enough knowledge, I don't think, out there or that's being implemented into training where we could avoid some of this shit.
Yeah, well, look, fuck, injury's part of the game, right? Like, if someone decides to just grab your shit and twist it, it's going to happen. But if you think about this, right, like, a lot of people are just not necessarily aware of it. Because when you're not injured, fuck, life's happy. Like, things are great.
Oh, yeah.
But if you've got a bulged disc in your neck or your back, you can't do anything without being in pain.
Yeah.
And until you've fucking felt that, you don't even realize how fucked it can be.
I get nervous when I haven't had an injury for a while.
You expect
because I'm
one.
like, any minute now, I'm like, is this the session that I'm going to fucking twist my knee?
Yeah.
Is this, like, I was on a good run last year and then I broke my hand.
Yeah.
And I was a dumb cunt. I didn't even go to the doctor. I just taped it. But
Classic.
Yeah, like an idiot. Now it's still fucked. But it's just funny how it works. Like, I can say, you should get that looked at and stuff, and I don't even do it.
Well, I think, look, the great thing about jiu-jitsu is it teaches you to be tough. Like, jiu-jitsu is not for weak fucks. Like, if you come in and you're sensitive, either personally or physically, you won't last. Like, it's not. And what's good about that, it means people who stay in the game are tough cunts. Like, you're a savage if you can make it through it. The only problem is this. It's kind of like, not that I want to necessarily compare BJJ to Muay Thai, but when you look at people who have a really hard Muay Thai career, they don't want to show you what happens after.
No.
They want to show you Rodtang just eating punches and like, great.
Yeah.
But then dudes are just like vegetables and can't walk properly, and they now need nurses to look after them after their career, which is fucking tragic, right?
Especially when there's no fucking money in Muay Thai. Like,
Yeah.
bastards,
Yeah. But the hard thing with jiu-jitsu is we expect to go super ham, but without the consequences, right? But if it was someone driving their car and you see that they've fucking lost a front bumper and they got one tire flat and they're still doing burnouts in the car park, and you're like, bro, get your fucking car serviced, cunt. Like, what is wrong with you?
That sounds like half of Adelaide, to be honest. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's it's the same. It's half of Penrith. But because jiu-jitsu promotes toughness, people don't want to like be open about. Well, I mean, people talk about their injuries, but it's more like a badge of honor. Like, I'm a warrior, I'm tough. When actually they're crashing out. And the problem is there's this mixed idea in jiu-jitsu of like toughness versus like self-destruction. And maybe a bunch of us are self-destructive. Who knows, right?
Guilty again.
Yeah. But and jiu-jitsu attracts like some pretty extreme personalities. But I think it's just because coaches are often like, and instructors, if you've made it through, you're like, well, I did it tough and I didn't give a shit and I got here. I think the difference is we've got a lot more, like, not just young, frothy dudes getting into it who are made of black magic and rubber, but you got some dads. You got jiu-jitsu dads. You got guys who are 30, 35, coming in, they've got trade jobs or they've got responsibilities. They love jiu-jitsu, but if they tear their ACL or they dislocate their shoulder, they're like, I've got to provide for my family, and they churn out.
Yes.
And this is the thing, we kind of got a bias, we're both black belts, been in the game long enough, but how many cunts didn't make it? Like, how many dudes kind of maybe got to blue belt, if that, and then they're just like, nah, it's too much damage.
I've met some guys that were very good grapplers, like, down at the gym, that were dads, they've got jobs, one's a detective. And that poor bastard, man, lived and breathed jiu-jitsu, would train as much as he could, and it got to a point where he hurt his back again, and the missus was, and him, well, not just the missus, but like as a family man, it was like, I can't keep doing this. Yeah. And even there was another guy as well, I remember he hadn't been training long, got this fucking huge cauliflower ear, and it kept popping up, and then he hurt, he blew his knee out, and I know his missus was like, enough's enough, mate.
What are you doing? Yeah.
And you get it. Like, I've come home injured, and people are like, or going to work and I can barely walk, and they're like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking sport I could play.
It's hard.
I don't know what it is. It's addicting, and I don't blame people either for throwing the towel in.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, but at the same time, you got a family, you got a job, if you own business and shit.
Got your life, yeah.
And that's where I think the stuff like this is so valuable for people, because we don't, like, you know, how many guys do we know that I'll just blast test and trend and just keep training? And it's like, as dope as that is, it's like, you're still going to fall apart. Like,
the difficulty with that is, I think for a long time, like, regardless of who you are, you know, a person, they might look at their coach and be, I want to be like my coach. But you don't realise that, like, your coach has been on steroids for 15 years, and they say, like, maybe it was Rich Piana, I can't remember, it was like one life, one cycle. Like, you never you never come off. Like, once you're on, you're on until the day you die, or you die of a massive heart attack, whatever the fuck, right? But essentially, it's really difficult to look at someone who is enhanced and you're not, and you're like, how do I keep up with that? It's different.
Yes.
And I think it's way more clear cut in the world of powerlifting and strongman, because people are much more open about their drug use.
Yeah.
Because it's not, in certain federations, it's not against the rules. And then there's some federations that test, and so then you know that people who are in that federation are natty or just good at cycling off. But, you know, like, for the best part, people are much more open about, I'm on this stack, many mils of this, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're like, oh, how interesting. It's much more clear cut, because you're like, no wonder that guy can train fucking 6 days a week and look like he's destroying himself and do it week in, week out, because he has chemical enhancement.
Yes.
And I think still in jiu-jitsu, it's a bit, the water's a bit murky.
Yeah.
But there's people who are doing a ton of gear, they're not talking about it, and people are like, oh, how do I be like that? You're like, well, it's difficult to fucking go as hard as that and not have your body break down.
Yeah.
The thing that we're not seeing, which we've seen in bodybuilding, is when elite level guys cycle off and they just shrink.
Yes.
You know, just like a balloon, and then they're kind of like a very withered former glory of themselves.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not saying this to be inherently negative, but what I'd say is, like, I do believe that there is a way that folks can enjoy jiu-jitsu, stay fit and healthy. I mean, admittedly, you know, injury is part of the game. But that said, if you've got a bit of a better body maintenance routine, you can weather the storms better.
Yes.
You know, like me, I'm not a technical guy. I destroyed every car I've owned up until, like, the car I have now. Classic fucking 2013 Holden, fucking total lemon. I've put more money into repairing it.
Mercedes, mate.
Well, there you go. I didn't know. I should move to Adelaide. I'd be living the dream. But the thing is, I have learnt over time from fucking cars up, oh, maybe I should put some oil in. I'll check the oil. Maybe I should check the coolant levels. Put some coolant in. Maybe I should pump up the fucking tyres. Maybe I should have a spare tyre. Like, stuff which you think is like retard level. This is kind of how people are approaching their bodies. They either haven't been through injuries and rehab to know what it takes to, like, oh, fuck, I just melted the engine. That's expensive. In the same way, oh, I didn't tap to that heel hook. Now I have to have a Rico on my knee. That's costing me 15 G's. The fucking rehab, all the pain. I think you can't blame someone for not like, if you don't know what you don't know. That's fine. But if someone's been through that and they're like, no, I blew out my knee, don't do that. Like, that's not a good choice. It's about having something which is consistently, it's just in your life that can help you. Or, you know, if you drive a car, it's good to have roadside assist, or good to have car insurance. Really getting stronger, getting more flexible isn't about being a buff cunt and being king of the gym. It's about just being able to make sure your shit doesn't break. And if your tendons and ligaments are stronger, they're less likely to break. So, you know, the fucking classic, like, Three Pigs, fucking, I was going to say Goldilocks, it's not Goldilocks, but, you know, the wolf and the three pigs, one's got a house made out of sticks, blow your house down. If you got that fucking house that's made out of fucking bricks, the storms come, it still stays standing more or less, you know? And so I think it's the fact that what you're doing is you're preparing your body in a controlled way to weather the fucking storms of jiu-jitsu. So when some injury machine spaz, like jumps guard on you or does a scissors takedown or whatever the hell, your shit is like, it'll bend, it won't break.
Yes, yeah.
And that's why, you know, the core philosophy with Bulletproof is strength and flexibility. So getting that sweet spot on not just being stiff as a fridge or not just being as, you know, like a wet noodle, being that combination of strength and flexibility means that when you do get hit with fucking some terrible crazy spaz, yeah, you don't break.
And I find it interesting because so many people, like, you know, you see like a Levi or a Lucas Cannard and the way they're, or Ariel, like just the guys with real flexible guards that are amazing to watch compete. And, you know, you'll have some guy, I want to roll like that guy. And if they don't do anything to work their flexibility and stuff, these are the guys that will end up getting injured in the gym.
Yeah.
And, you know, how many basketballers would have watched Kobe or Michael Jordan and been like, I'm going to fucking train, I'm going to play like that guy and stuff. But it's very different to what we do. You know, if you're watching a Levi and you have the same flexibility as a plank of wood, you're going to hurt yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like anything, you know, and it's probably just that it's not a big part of jiu-jitsu culture yet. It's getting there. Like, there's way more folks, like, you know, getting fit in the gym and using that and applying it to jiu-jitsu. But, yeah, if you can't touch your toes, trying to do a berimbolo is kind of problematic.
Yes,
you know?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's just because it's just not as fun. Like, when you're rolling and you're fucking throwing down with your mates, it's sick. You're like, this is mad. I enjoy this. But when you're like, oh, I can't touch my toes, fuck, my back hurts, my calf hurts, like, there's not a whole lot of enjoyment there. So it's kind of like eating your vegetables, you know what I mean? It's one of those things that it doesn't present itself as being fun, but once somebody has gone through that process of like, oh, I did some stretching and actually my back doesn't hurt all the time. All right, that's good. And so that positive feedback loop, it locks in.
Yeah.
And so you're like, actually, I don't need to do an hour of fucking yoga to get better. Maybe I just need to do these 2 or 3 things for like 15 minutes and my hips are better, my back feels better. Yeah, I can keep doing that shit, either before class or after class. Like, I think the thing that we are constantly trying to do is lower the barrier to entry. Like, people are like, no, I've got to go to a gym and I got to pay money. And it's like, no, actually, you can just fucking get on the floor in the living room. You know, just fucking kick the coffee table back. Once you know what to do, just do it while you're watching telly or Netflix or whatever the fuck. Like, it's just trying to get it in your life. And I think the hard thing is, if it's not part of your life, you might be able to do it once or twice, but it's not a habit. You gotta look at the day and go either in the morning before I go to work or after class or wherever it fits in. And it doesn't have to be every day, just 10, 15 minutes, just taking care of your rig.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. People got the wrong idea. People are like, no, it's got to be an hour or it doesn't count. Or no, it's like, honestly, 10 minutes, 15 minutes max as just a way to look after your body. So that's the main thing, mate, is just trying to let people know, you know what, you don't have to be a fucking elite athlete. You don't have to be a gym bro, but you do have to kind of look after your shit. If you're going to go rally driving, you need to know how to change a fucking tyre. But no one's saying that because jiu-jitsu is like, oh, you got a pulse? Throw on a gi, get on the mat. Yeah, you got a pulse, you can roll. And I think that this is one of the problems, and this is something we're trying to change, is we want to help more gyms with their ability to screen, like be able to do movements with students and be like, you know what, your ankles are pretty stiff. If you do some ankle mobility, you're less likely to get ankle and knee injuries. Or, you know what, your shoulders are a bit fucked. Like, it's hard to know this shit, right? Because most jiu-jitsu instructors, they are experts at jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
But they don't know shit about range of motion. They don't know shit about S&C, and why should they?
And how many coaches, when they are coaching and stuff like that, you look at their movement half the time. Like, you know, they can't get their shoulders above their head because they're so fucked from all these years. And it's like, I guess, you know, whether they might be running a gym or, you know, running classes and stuff like that, it's very hard for them to probably learn all that other stuff.
Yeah.
and maintain their body. But it's like, really, we should be trying to teach the up-and-comers, the newbies, and even mid-level guys that have been doing it a while, how to maintain their body so they can do this forever.
Yeah, or as long as they want to.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing is that, for the best part, people get stopped before they want to stop because they don't kind of have a choice.
Yeah.
And really, we'd want it to be that when you go, you know what, I don't want to do jiu-jitsu anymore, or I want to do it less, that's a choice. It's not taken from you. And I think that's the important thing. And I think we're at a point now where it is changing. It is changing for sure. But we need... Unfortunately, jiu-jitsu's got to catch up to the rest of the world of athletic performance, because actually, as far as sports go, it is like one of the most demanding fucking things you can do.
Yeah.
You got to be flexible, you got to be strong, you got to be fit, you know, like you got to train all the time. There's so much shit going on that actually you got to be like a fucking ninja gymnast to just keep up with this shit. And so if you look at a kid like Joseph Chen, he's a really good example of the way a human body can move, right? And I'm not saying we're all going to be fucking Joseph Chen, but I think people very much get sold on, nah, I'm old, I'm broken, I'm fucked. Now, yeah, you definitely accumulate damage over time, but the truth is, like, I've seen people at the age of 50 get huge gains in athleticism from just going to the gym once or twice a week, doing some stretches. They basically, like, they get younger. And then you're like, wow, these are people who are just everyday people. They're not trying to do jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu actually ages your body. And it's not like, that's not a very good marketing strategy. If you own a gym, you're like, hey, join this. We'll temporarily, you know, we'll prematurely age you and fuck you up.
Do you want to be 40 but feel 70? Come and do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's not a good selling point.
Yeah.
But just flip that and go, well, actually, we've got a system that shows you, all right, well, let's identify the weak spots, or let's identify where, you know, you might be a bit vulnerable to injury. Let's give you something that's going to help you work on that. And that way you can enjoy your jiu-jitsu, you can move better, and fucking away we go, you know?
Yeah, and like, before I moved to Melbourne, I would do everything I possibly could but jiu-jitsu to get better at jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And then when I was there, and you just immerse yourself, and I realised there's no fucking secret here. It's just hours on the mat. And now, obviously, you've got all these instructionals. The YouTube content is amazing. You know, you can watch fucking the best in the world just rolling. And that's one thing I like to watch, is I get more out of watching the top level guys moving around in the gym, playing, you know, like, and that was a big thing Joseph, I picked up from Joseph, is like, play from the positions you're trying to work, you know. And I picked up from my time in Melbourne, hours on the mats. Even if you don't feel like training, you don't have to train like a spastic, but you can, you know, dial it back, and as you're on the mats, you're still going to get stuff out of that. And I noticed as well that if I had, you know, I did a hard day and then a lighter day and a hard day, and I moved the pace and intensity of my training so it's not like ballistic every day. Yeah. I got a lot more out of it. And then I always looked at lifting weights, besides looking good for the brojans for the post-training photo.
Yes, that's right.
It was always, I looked at it like armor, get a bit more muscle, and I felt a bit more confident being able to throw down more. The one thing that I've never worked, and I'm fairly flexible, has been the stretching. Right. And I'll say to myself, I'm going to fucking stretch 3 times a week. And I do that once. And and then, you know, life gets in the way, you know, family, work, fucking everything. But that is a big thing that I need to start working on more, because I know I'm fucking 36 this year. Yeah, man, 36. I've been training. That's 20 years on the mats. Yeah. Give or take. I know that the majority of the people watching our shit is kind of 25 to 35. That's like 40% of our audience. And then 35 to 45 is like
35% of the audience. So 75% of our audience is like 25 to 45. So they are people who have jobs, they are people who have lives, and that's the hardest thing is you can't tell someone who lives at home, who doesn't work, who just basically if they have a sore knee, they stay in bed or sleep in. Like that's totally different. It's like trying to teach teenagers about responsibility. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But once you've got to pay your own rent or you've got to put fuel in the car, you're like, fuck, well, I've got to do that, you know? So, so like, speaking of like what you're saying about like everyone knows that you're meant to like do flexibility and mobility shit, but you never do it, right? Like it's,
never,
you know it's good, you know it's good, but you just don't do it. The easiest thing, or the way I approach it, even just for myself, is I usually pick like 3 things that like, so for me it's usually ankles, usually like lower back, hips, and then like shoulders. I just pick one drill for each of those. And sometimes like a certain drill might hit you in more spots, which is good, but I'll just do like in the morning when I'm waking up, I usually get up pretty early, before I like have a coffee or anything, I'll set myself up and just do a couple of things. Like I'm talking minute of this, minute of this, minute of this, like just to move my body. And it's also my way of checking in to be like, how fucked am I today? Did I go too hard yesterday? Because then it tells me like, hey man, your back's cooked. You're not going to do heavy deadlifts today. But if I didn't check in and I just hit my caffeine and I got on with my day, even though I'd feel stiff, I'd kind of ignore it. But that means if I go to the gym that night, I might be a bit oblivious that, fuck, I might do myself a mischief here. You know? So I have that little check-in in the morning. I usually do a bit of warm-up, you know, obviously before I lift my weights and whatever, but usually at night when I get home, the habit I've made that's forced me to do more stretching is I don't sit on the couch. I'll sit on the floor in front of the couch if I'm in front of the TV. So that forces me to cross my legs, and then I'm like, oh my God, my knees. Like if I can't cross my legs, you know, that's a problem. But then I can kind of sit and move, and just sitting on the floor, it's not really comfortable, but it means I move around and it makes me do some stretches because I'm like, well, fuck, I'm here, right? And so usually what I'll do is I'll just try and spend like, honestly, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just doing some stuff, working on the stuff I know I need to work on. You don't need a full bloody routine, which is, I think, is the misunderstanding. So let's take you, for example. If you were going to like, what would be the 2 or 3 things you'd like work on to try and loosen up your body?
Well, see,
all of it.
I've always had this dream that one day I could do the Van Damme splits. And I blame my dad for that, for forcing us to watch Bruce Lee and Van Damme movies. So anytime, if I do entertain stretching, I don't do anything for jiu-jitsu. I literally sit there and I'm like, maybe if I stretch like this, and I know in my head, I know when I sit down, I'm like, I'm not going to do this for another 3 weeks. But I eventually want to be able to do the splits. But no, like anything for me, I get, I've had some damage to my neck. So I'll try and like warm the shoulders up a little bit. And it's always been my knees. I haven't ever done anything. I had a grade 2 MCL tear on my right knee. And I've got some arthritis symptoms in that knee from various issues over the years.
Is that the side you did your ankle on, or that was the left?
No. So finally, I broke my left leg and dislocated that ankle. Never had an issue with that since.
Okay.
I had an arthroscopy on the left knee when I was 20. And I actually got out of surgery that day, and we had a party at our house, and I was still able to drop the clutch and do a burnout in the backyard in a Commodore VAU.
Salute.
But I didn't do any rehab for that. Never had an issue with that knee, but my right knee has been the one that has caused me issues, and that stemmed from tearing the MCL, and that was a grade 2. I've never had an injury to it again. It just gets really fucking stiff. And you know, like I have for the last 6-7 weeks, I I've coached jiu-jitsu maybe 4 times.
Yeah.
I've done 1 class and 2 comp classes, and I've lifted weights twice.
Right.
Just because of the crazy hours at work.
Yeah.
And like the other week, I did bench press. And, you know, you push through your feet, right?
Yeah.
I got up after. I was like, why the fuck is my knee sore? And I got out of bed the next morning and I limped to the shower.
Wow.
So like, I need to work on more maintenance side of stuff, because when I'm training full time, or is, you know,
when
my ideal
as much
would be 2 to 3 jiu-jitsu sessions a week with a similar amount of weight lifting. And that's great when I'm doing that regularly.
Yeah.
But it's, I think, the maintenance side of things, where it's like, you know, I might be able to keep my knee loose,
right,
rather than it feeling tight all the time, or my shoulder to my neck, where it feels like I'm fucking walking like this.
Yeah.
And that's what I need to work on that stuff, and I tell myself I need to do that, and I entertain some stretching from time to time.
Fantasize. You see yourself fucking sitting on the top of the hotel, full splits, Hong Kong, CJI 10. You got a super fight with Gabby. You're like fucking preparing yourself in the splits and shit. But
well, with how long my legs are, I could probably do the splits across the pit.
You could.
That would be the dream. But
go Jones's legs.
I need to that's one thing, and that's like, there's so much more information out there now that I don't really have a fucking excuse.
Nah, but here's the thing. This is the mistake. This is the big fucking flaw in the way we think about the world, like relevant to any amount of knowledge. Like, knowledge is universal now. You don't have to pay money to get it. It's all free. But action, like more information hasn't made us smarter.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the same thing with like people having Whoops and fucking trackables, Garmin watches. You would think if they were like really effective, the whole measured me thing, movement, well, wouldn't more people be fitter and sleeping better?
Yeah.
No, because there's equal amount of technology that just fucks that whole game up, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with all the technology that's been invested into making food ultra addictive.
Yeah.
You know, like, humans are about fucking making money. Like, you know, look, it's just, I would put it this way: more information doesn't equal better action. It just doesn't. The hardest thing for us to overcome is our habits. Going to jiu-jitsu for you is a habit. And maybe going to the gym, that's a habit of sorts, because you do it and you feel good. The hardest thing about stretching is you do it, and even though the end result of it feels better, it almost always feels shit.
Yeah.
Like, even when you're flexible, like, I got a friend of mine, Chloe, she's like basically a fucking Cirque du Soleil, can like put her ankles like back bend inside out. Yeah, crazy flexibility, right? And I had said to her before, I'd done some stretching with her and shit, and I'm like, how does it feel like to fucking, she's like, it feels terrible.
Oh,
it feels
really?
bad.
Yeah, okay.
Except, because the thing is, it doesn't matter how much your range is. When you get to the end of your range, whether it's like, I can't touch my kneecaps, or I can put my fucking head on my ankles, it's still going to feel fucking rough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, whenever you get to your maximum, it's going to feel fucking tough. And unfortunately, like, the thing about stretching is that if you're not a flexible person, or you haven't done much of it, you're going to feel shit sooner. And it's not something you can post on Instagram like, oh, look at me, I'm fucking touching my kneecaps. Like, who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah.
So the hardest thing about it is it doesn't feel rewarding, and it's nothing that you can like big note or like showboat about or whatever the fuck. But here's the value. It actually only takes a small amount done regularly for your body to feel better.
Okay.
So how do we do that? Either we factor it in as part of your warm-up before you lift, so that way your knee doesn't blow out.
You meant to warm up before you lift.
Oh, fuck. Fucking secret shit.
Yeah.
How come no one fucking told me this shit? And then also, it's like the thing we found helping jiu-jitsu folks is like a little bit before and then a little bit after.
Okay.
So, because your body, you know how like you just be pumping sweat and your body temperature will be through the roof post jiu-jitsu. Now, obviously, everyone wants to talk shit about the UFC and what's going on in the world of fucking whatever, anything. But that moment post jiu-jitsu, your body temperature is so elevated, that's actually where you can get sick flexibility gains.
Yeah, okay.
So if you wanted to get the splits or you're trying to loosen up your shoulder or whatever, your stretching will be more effective right then and there.
Yeah, okay.
So my advice is this, just pick one thing.
Yeah.
So if your knee's a bit jacked, then you got to have a little bit of a look at your ankles and your hips, because the knee, other than someone twisting your knee, it's like knee's a symptom of hip and ankle. Yep. Same thing, like people with sore elbows, they either need to loosen up their wrists or their shoulders, because the elbow is a symptom of that shit. Same thing, neck. Neck is often a symptom of like kyphosis, like thoracic rounding.
Yeah.
So spending
all
a bit
this is fucking making complete sense for like as you're saying this. I'm like, oh yeah, my wrist, elbow, shoulders, fucked, neck. Yeah.
Right. It's all going together.
Hips are tight. Yeah.
You got me. You got me. That's me. But yeah, doing like the thing that they don't talk about with shoulders and neck is you can do all the fucking external rotation you want. You can do all the neck shit you want. But if your upper back is like really rounded, like which is what we do in jiu-jitsu, whether we play guard or we wrestle, if you don't spend some time opening that bad boy out to create extension, your shoulder will never be in a good position. Your head will always be forward. Like this is just the shit that people are not talking about because it's kind of boring, but if you just spend a bit of time doing some thoracic extension and then getting those muscles going, that takes the pressure off your neck and that puts your shoulder in a better position. So you're just better set up for life. I mean, even if you just think about life, in the car, hunched forward, on the phone, head down, like there's so much shit that just fucks our posture. So just doing 5 minutes either before, well, ideally before and after. So you do a bit of prep stuff to limber up before jiu-jitsu, and then you do a stretch or a couple of stretches after jiu-jitsu. That actually is huge. Like just doing that. So I'm not saying you got to fucking invent a whole routine outside of jiu-jitsu. Now, obviously it'd be good if you can do some extra, but if you would just like nail it right now, you just go, right, I'm just going to do something for my knees and something for my shoulders, like my upper back before jiu-jitsu, which just gets you feeling better. Like you've had a hard day of work, so you're like, fuck, just trying to get right for jiu-jitsu. And then after class, when you pump and sweat, fuck, have that chat, have that banter, talk that shit, but at the same time you're like, oh, I'm going to do some hip stretches and then I'm going to get on the roller and I'm going to stretch out my back. I don't think anyone's going to be like, that's gay. Like, people are like, nah, that's cool, and maybe they join you. And that's the hard thing. Like, as much like humans want to like do, and you probably underestimate this, but like, you're a black belt, you're fucking Adam Jones cunt. People want to be like you, in rightly or wrongly. So if you do something wild, they're like, I want to do that as well. But if also you do something that's like good, then you're giving other people permission to also do something healthy. And so in that way, even though you probably don't think about it very much, like you are a role model. Like people like,
Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's true. Forming a whole generation
I've ruined many apprentices over the years because they've seen what I used to get up to, and they're like, "Oh, well, I want to do that too." Yeah. But
I mean, it can evolve. It can evolve. But yeah, man. Honestly, I think the easiest way for jiu-jitsu folks to get it in their life is to kind of pair it with training jiu-jitsu, because that's the shit we already do. So in Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about habit stacking. So you take an existing thing you already do, and you take a new behavior which you don't do, and you want to make it a habit, and you just chuck them together. So for example, for me, like with my journaling, I write in the journal and fucking organize my fucking ADHD hyperactive brain, is when I sit down with the first coffee of the day, which is usually like fucking 6 a.m. I try to organize my thoughts in my journal, because if I don't do that, I just forget shit. Like I just, stuff doesn't get done. But if I sit there with my coffee and I write stuff down, it just helps me process that. And it works. So I think if you can like factor in just a little bit of mobility and a little bit of stretch, just a little bit, I'm talking like 5 minutes either side, that will make it a bit more of a habit. And then once it's a habit, you're like, oh, what other shit could I do? You know what I mean? Same thing if you're at the gym doing weights and you're like, all right, before I do this, I'm just going to prep myself a little bit. You'll have a better weight session.
And it's, I think we, like I said, there's a lot of lot of fucking dumb cunts that do this sport. It's a fucking dumb sport, let's be honest. But,
yes.
Straight up, like, how many people fucking self-diagnose or don't go to a fucking physio or seek having a chat with someone who's a professional, like straight away, like in my head I thought I'd have to be doing fucking hot yoga or something to get flexible. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do that. But straight up, you just said you just add a little bit and you build it around what you're already doing. And like, everybody's at jiu-jitsu early.
Yeah.
And like most of the time you hang around after.
Yeah.
And like, how many fucking married dudes do we know that this is their escape? They're not even here for jiu-jitsu. They're just to get out of the house.
Man club, yeah.
So like, straight up from this chat we've just had, you can just add things in. It doesn't have to be, you know, you're not reinventing the wheel necessarily. And fucking chat to people that know what they're doing. Like you know all about this stuff because you've been training forever. You've now sort of hyper-focused that ADHD into your Bulletproof for BJJ. You're working with someone else that you can bounce ideas off of. And it's like, it's not, you know, we all download instructionals and never watch them, or we might watch 5 minutes of them and be like, oh, that's cool. And then you shelve it. But like, with this, it's accessible. Now I feel even more dumb because I don't have to do that much to get what I need.
But the thing
out
is,
of this.
you don't know what you don't know, right? So if no one ever said to you, mate, this takes 5 minutes, and you're like, fuck, all right, well, I can try that. Yeah. And you don't have to take my fucking word for it, right? Like, it's just like suck it and see. You do it, you go, that worked, nice, all right, here's the next step. Yeah. And look, I'm going to fucking debunk the whole fitness industry fucking training programs right now.
They're all on steroids.
Yeah, they are. They are. Same thing as every jiu-jitsu athlete, right?
Yeah.
Right. Is this what I was trying to explain? So they're like, how can you say that? I'm like, this is the fucking mic drop right here. The program you follow, it doesn't fucking matter. Now, as someone who sells a program, that sounds silly, right? We have many programs, but it's not actually the program that makes the difference. It is the consistency with which you do it. Now, I learned this from a really smart guy, a guy called Paul Wright, very high level strength conditioning coach, rehab guy, righty, a really smart fella. And he said this, a terrible program done consistently, like just an absolute bro, idiot mashup of exercises, that done consistently is better than the most scientific, optimal fucking program done inconsistently. You will get results if you are consistent. So this is the crux of it. How do you take something, and it doesn't matter, I'm really honest here, like you could be fucking doing CrossFit, you'd be doing whatever, as long as you're consistent and you can keep it up, you'll get gains, whether it's flexibility or strength. The reason why I say this is our app is all around habit forming. So you could follow any program on there and you do good, but it's the use of the app, it's the checking in every second day or every day and tracking your progress, and it's this process that will help you get better. The program, it's not irrelevant, but the consistency is the more important thing. So however you, Mr. 182, however you are able to, get it in your life, that will be the most powerful thing, and then you can build off it. But if you don't get that first step, then, the rest of it doesn't really matter. Yeah, no, it's fucking, I got a lot out of this. Cool, bro. Where can people find you, mate? If people want to hit me up, you can hit me up at the Instagram at Bulletproof for BJJ. You check us out on Spotify or Apple iTunes, or even on YouTube. Same thing, Bulletproof FOR BJJ. Or you can hit me up personally, JT_Tenacity on Instagram. Always happy to chat. Whatever you need, hit me up. Excellent. My guy. Sick as cunt. Cheers, bro.